There's a silent moment in every man's life when the noise finally dies, when the world around him keeps moving, but something inside him stops. It's not her leaving that tears him apart. It's that one moment when he looks into her eyes and realizes she's already gone, even though she's still standing right there. You can feel it in the way she breathes, the way her gaze passes through you instead of landing on you. It's a small thing at first, a softer tone, a shorter text, a missing laugh. But it grows. It spreads. Until one day, you realize that the warmth you used to find in her presence has turned cold, and her love has turned into something polite, something restrained, something that no longer reaches you. It's not a fight, not an argument, not even a goodbye. It's quieter than that. It's her saying, "I'm fine," when she isn't. It's her smiling without meaning it. It's her hand slipping from yours a second too early. You'll try to hold on. You'll tell yourself she's just tired, distracted, overwhelmed. But deep down, your gut already knows the truth. You've already lost her, long before she walks away. That realization doesn't come with a scream or a breakdown, it comes with silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that fills the spaces where her love used to live. You start replaying moments, trying to find the exact point it all began to fade, but there isn't one. Love doesn't die in a moment. It dies slowly, in glances not returned, in touches not felt, in words never said. And by the time you notice, it's already gone. What's left behind is just a reflection, her body near you, her soul somewhere far beyond your reach. You'll feel it before she ever says a word. It begins quietly, like the slow dimming of a light. Her voice still sounds the same, but the weight behind it is gone. The laughter that used to come so easily now feels forced, practiced, as if she's remembering how it used to sound, not how it feels. You'll notice it in the pauses, the empty spaces between her sentences. She still talks to you, still shares things, but her words don't reach you anymore. They hover somewhere in the air, disconnected, fragile. She starts to drift in small ways first. She doesn't look up from her phone as much. She forgets to ask how your day was. The "I miss you" messages come less often, and when they do, they feel like obligation, like a duty, not a desire. You'll tell yourself it's nothing, that people change, that she's just busy. But deep down, you'll feel the distance growing like a quiet storm you can't stop. Nights that used to feel full now feel empty even when she's beside you. Her body is close, but her spirit is somewhere else. You'll reach out in small ways, a touch, a joke, a memory, trying to pull her back to you. But she doesn't come back. Not really. She smiles, but it's a smile that doesn't touch her eyes. You start to realize you're holding on to someone who's already gone, pretending everything's fine because the truth hurts too much to face. And that's when it hits you: love doesn't always end with a goodbye. Sometimes it ends in the middle of a conversation, while she's still there, breathing next to you. It ends quietly, invisibly, until you're left wondering when the warmth disappeared and why you didn't notice sooner. It's not the fights that break you. It's the silence that follows. The quiet that fills the spaces where her laughter used to live, the emptiness where her warmth used to linger. You begin to notice it in the small things first, the way her hand no longer brushes against yours, the way her eyes avoid yours in passing. You try to talk, to ask, to reach across the growing distance, but the words die before they even leave your mouth. The silence answers you instead, heavy and suffocating, a void that echoes louder than any argument ever could. Nights become the hardest. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, tracing memories of her in your mind, replaying moments you once cherished. You remember the way she used to look at you, the small smiles that once carried warmth straight to your chest. But now, even those memories feel hollow, like ghosts of a time that no longer exists. You reach for your phone, almost expecting her to reach back, almost expecting a text, a call, anything that signals she's still present. But there's nothing. Only the quiet, pressing, unyielding silence. Every message left unread, every touch left unreturned, chips away at the foundation you thought was solid. You realize that this isn't temporary. It isn't a phase or a misunderstanding. It's her slowly, quietly slipping away, not in a dramatic exit, but in the absence of attention, the fading of interest, the quiet disappearance of presence. And the cruelest part is that she's still physically there, still speaking, still moving through your life, but emotionally, she's somewhere far beyond your reach. You begin to understand that silence has a weight all its own. It is not empty, it is filled with absence. Every pause, every avoided glance, every unsent word becomes a presence in itself, a constant reminder that what once was warm and alive has grown cold, distant, and unreachable. It's not just the lack of sound, it's the lack of her. You'll start noticing it in the rhythm of her days, the little patterns that shift without explanation. The calls that used to come without thinking now arrive late, if at all. The messages that once poured in naturally now feel calculated, measured, distant. She's still around, but her energy no longer lands with the same warmth. It's subtle at first, a delay in a reply, a shorter answer, a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. And at first, you convince yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself she's tired, busy, distracted. But slowly, the truth seeps in, sharp and unavoidable. She's pulling away. The moments that once felt effortless now demand attention, effort, explanation. You find yourself reaching across a growing divide, trying to pull her back into a space where she once belonged naturally. But the more you push, the more resistant she becomes. The harder you try to make her feel your presence, the less she needs it. Because absence, not attention, breeds longing. People miss what feels gone, not what is constantly available. You realize that every story she posts without tagging you, every laugh she shares without looking your way, every fleeting touch that doesn't linger, all of it is teaching you the same lesson: your energy has become too entangled in her orbit. The irony is cruel. The more you chase, the more you reveal your own dependence. Every attempt to reconnect, every effort to trigger a response, signals attachment, not power. An attachment pushes her farther away. It's not malice on her part, it's instinct. She feels what you feel. She senses the desperation wrapped in what you think is confidence. The harder you try to pull her back, the more she drifts, comfortably, naturally, without you. And in that moment, clarity hits. You understand that it is not her absence that holds power. It is your presence, independent, grounded, untethered, that commands attention. To reclaim that power, you don't need to chase, argue, or prove. You need to step back, redirect, and return to yourself. Your life, your growth, your energy become the center, not her reactions. Only then does the dynamic shift, not through manipulation, but through authentic transformation. It's in that space of detachment that real power begins to take shape. Once you stop revolving your world around her presence, you start to notice the ways your own energy has been diluted by constant focus on hers. Every thought, every decision, every ounce of attention you once gave to tracking her mood, her posts, her reactions now feels heavy in hindsight. You realize how much of yourself you sacrificed, how much of your calm and confidence you traded for fleeting validation. And it's in that realization that the first seed of freedom takes root, the awareness that you were never truly losing her, but losing yourself in trying to hold on to her. From that point, everything begins to shift. You start redirecting your energy inward. You focus on your body, not to provoke envy, but because discipline feels like power in your own skin. You begin working on your mind, your craft, your goals, building a life that isn't defined by her attention or absence. Each day of progress, no matter how small, reinforces a deeper truth: you are no longer orbiting someone else's emotional gravity. Your life, your ambitions, your growth have become the nucleus of your existence. And the subtlety of this change is what starts to command attention. She senses it without needing to be told. It's in the way your presence is no longer tethered to her reactions, the way your calm persists even when she appears. She feels the difference in your energy before she sees it reflected anywhere else: the quiet confidence, the unshakable focus, the peace that radiates without effort. You're no longer acting, no longer performing for her validation. Every action becomes a reflection of your self-mastery, not an attempt to manipulate or control. And that's what shifts the dynamic entirely. She begins to notice absence, not as punishment, but as the natural effect of a man who has reclaimed himself. It's no longer about her missing you, it's about the magnetic pull of a presence that is complete, sovereign, and untouchable. And in that space, she can't help but wonder what happened, because the man she once influenced is no longer the same, and he doesn't belong to her orbit anymore. The real transformation comes not from what you do, but from who you become. As you step fully into yourself, the days once consumed by waiting, analyzing, and chasing are replaced by action, focus, and growth. You start to inhabit your life in a way that is unapologetically yours. Your mornings are no longer spent wondering if she'll reach out or scrolling through old memories. They're spent building strength, pursuing goals, and investing in your own evolution. You notice a shift in the way you carry yourself, your posture steadier, your presence calmer, your voice measured and intentional. Each step you take, each choice you make, reflects a new level of sovereignty over your own energy. It's in this state of self-possession that her perception begins to shift. She notices, without being told, that something about you is changed. The man who once reacted to her moods and sought her attention now moves with quiet confidence and deliberate purpose. She senses that your energy is no longer tethered to her approval, and that realization is both unsettling and magnetic. The dynamic flips because you are no longer chasing, you are existing fully, independently, and that presence naturally commands respect. You stop measuring worth through her validation. You no longer overanalyze her messages or wonder if she still thinks of you. Instead, your focus is on your growth, your mastery, and your peace. And ironically, this detachment, this complete immersion in your own life, becomes the most powerful magnet. It is not the absence of you that intrigues her, but the presence of a man who has transcended need, attachment, and emotional dependence. She begins to feel your energy, not through words or posts, but through the calm, steady aura you radiate in every space you occupy. In this phase, silence is no longer emptiness, it is authority. Your life becomes the vessel of your power, and the world, including her, starts responding to it. You are no longer defined by her attention, but by the strength, purpose, and mastery you embody. And in that mastery, the subtle yet undeniable truth emerges: the man she once influenced now defines his own gravity, and it is irresistible, magnetic, and unforgettable. Once you fully embrace the idea of self-mastery, the way you move through the world transforms. You no longer react impulsively to emotional triggers or let the fear of her absence dictate your state of mind. Every decision, every interaction, every moment of your day becomes intentional, guided by purpose rather than reaction. You begin to notice how much energy you had been wasting on trying to manage her perception of you, on trying to pull her closer, on chasing validation that was never truly yours to claim. That wasted energy is now redirected, and the effects are profound. You become a man whose presence carries weight not because of force, but because of depth, calm, and consistency. The subtlety of this shift is what makes it irresistible. She notices it instinctively. There's a difference between a man who seeks attention and a man whose life is so full, so anchored in purpose, that he cannot be swayed by external validation. You start to cultivate habits that reflect your independence. Your mornings are productive, your evenings intentional, and your focus unbroken. You care less about how she interprets your actions and more about how you experience your own reality. That grounded energy radiates outward, drawing people, opportunities, and yes, her curiosity, toward you. In this phase, you stop playing games, stop trying to elicit jealousy, stop orchestrating scenarios to prove your value. The power dynamic flips because your energy is no longer a resource she can tap into at will. Your attention becomes selective, your presence scarce, your calm unshakable. And she feels it, often without realizing why. The silence, the stillness, the unbothered confidence all speak louder than any message ever could. You are no longer predictable, no longer performing, no longer orbiting her world. You've become the nucleus of your own existence, and in that sovereignty, everything you touch becomes infused with your power. Your transformation is not a show, it is a natural extension of the man you've rebuilt yourself to be. She feels it, and in that feeling, the magnetic pull of your independence becomes undeniable, unforgettable, and utterly compelling. As you enter the stage of complete self-possession, you start noticing how life responds differently to a man who no longer reacts but directs. Your energy, once scattered in attempts to maintain her attention, is now consolidated, refined, and purposeful. Every action you take is deliberate, every decision guided by your own values rather than her approval or reaction. The anxiety of uncertainty no longer clouds your mind, instead, it becomes a canvas for clarity, growth, and focus. You walk through the world with quiet authority, and people, especially women, feel it instinctively. They sense a man who is anchored, unbothered, and unshakable, whose energy is his own, not borrowed from anyone else. This shift is invisible yet powerful. She notices it in the subtleties, the calmness in your tone, the steadiness in your posture, the self-assured patience in your gaze. You no longer chase or respond to emotional provocations, your silence carries weight, and your stillness commands attention. Your world becomes rich with purpose and fulfillment independent of her presence. The irony is that the less you seek to control outcomes, the more compelling you become. Her curiosity grows because your life, your energy, and your attention are no longer guaranteed to her. You stop manipulating, stop orchestrating reactions, and stop using absence as a tool. Instead, your evolution naturally shifts the power dynamic. Your calm confidence, your unshakable focus, and your deliberate independence communicate something far more seductive than words ever could: a man who lives in alignment with himself, whose worth is inherent, not conditional. She feels your absence not as a punishment but as a presence that cannot be owned, a magnetic force born of self-mastery and unyielding sovereignty. You are no longer orbiting her, she is orbiting the gravity of your being. At this stage, your transformation becomes unmistakable, not only to yourself but to everyone around you. You no longer measure your value by the attention or validation of others because your self-worth is fully internalized. The man who once chased, overanalyzed, and sought approval now exists as a grounded, purposeful force. Each day is filled with intention, whether in your work, your relationships, or your personal development. Your energy is no longer dispersed trying to maintain connections that do not serve your growth, it is concentrated, refined, and magnetic. People, especially women, sense this shift immediately. There's an unspoken authority in your presence, a subtle yet compelling confidence that draws attention without effort. Your calmness becomes your language. You no longer react impulsively to emotional stimuli, no longer let uncertainty disturb your peace. The world notices the difference not because of dramatic gestures or performative actions, but because your energy communicates stability, depth, and mastery. You stop seeking to provoke reactions, stop attempting to be seen, stop trying to make her miss you. Instead, you build your life in a way that she cannot influence, a life rich with purpose, discipline, and intentionality. Your independence becomes magnetic because it is real, not a performance. She senses that your attention is scarce not because of games, but because your energy is precious and deliberately directed. You begin to realize the paradox: the less you chase, the more people, including her, notice you. Your absence carries weight because it is not empty, it is filled with your progress, your focus, and your evolution. She feels a pull not toward manipulation or nostalgia, but toward the presence of a man who has fully claimed himself. Your silence, your restraint, and your unwavering dedication to your growth communicate power, freedom, and sovereignty. In this phase, you are no longer controlled by her actions or opinions, you define your own gravity, and she becomes acutely aware of what she can no longer command. Your life has become a living testament to your independence, and that energy is irresistible, unforgettable, and transformative. At this final stage, you have fully transcended the patterns of dependency, validation-seeking, and emotional turbulence that once defined your relationships. The man who once chased, worried, and overthought now exists as a force of calm authority and self-containment. Every thought, word, and action is aligned with purpose, and your energy is entirely your own. You no longer live in anticipation of her return, no longer measure your worth by her attention, and no longer chase fleeting moments of affection. Instead, your focus is entirely on building your life, cultivating your strengths, and mastering your inner world. This is the point where true emotional sovereignty emerges, a quiet, powerful force that commands respect and attention without effort. Your presence becomes magnetic because it is rooted in authenticity, not performance. You don't need to prove your value, explain your worth, or manipulate outcomes, your evolution does all of that naturally. People, especially women, instinctively sense the difference between a man who seeks validation and a man who is already complete. Your energy exudes calm confidence, unshakable discipline, and serene independence. It is no longer about winning her back or provoking jealousy, it is about living in alignment with yourself. Your life radiates purpose, and your focus has shifted from external affirmation to internal mastery. Ironically, this is when she begins to notice, not because of anything you do, but because of what you have become. Your absence is no longer emptiness, it is filled with your growth, your achievements, and your unwavering self-respect. She feels the shift in energy, the magnetic pull of a man who has moved on yet remains unforgettable. Every glance, every encounter, every thought of you carries weight because you are no longer available in the way you once were. You have transcended the need to be seen, heard, or validated by her or anyone else. Your peace, your presence, and your self-mastery have become your most powerful statements. She realizes, perhaps too late, that the man she once tried to control is gone, replaced by someone who cannot be swayed, bought, or manipulated, a man who is entirely his own, untouchable, and unforgettable.